Welcome to Echoes of Fear, your haven for the most terrifying mysteries and the most disturbing true crime stories. In today's video, I bring you real-life crime tales that challenge human comprehension and continue to haunt our minds, even after time has passed. Get ready for a dark and unsettling journey, where the line between reality and fear becomes ever thinner. If you have the courage, settle in, because today's stories will haunt your mind, and who knows, maybe even your dreams. Story 1. The suspense. Disappearance of Elena Ertl. On the evening of August 21, 2016, a small community in the town of Elk River, Minnesota, would experience a tragedy that still haunts the residents to this day. It was around 8:30 p.m. when 15-year-old Elena Ertl was last seen leaving a friend's house on the corner of 22nd Street, NW and Freeman Drive. She was headed home, just a short walk away, but she never made it. Elena had always been a responsible teenager, and her mother, Tammy Ertl, had no reason to worry. They lived in a quiet suburban neighborhood, and nothing seemed out of the ordinary that evening. But as the minutes turned into hours, Elena's family grew frantic, and by 10:05 p.m. they reported her missing to the police. What followed was a chilling series of events. Local authorities, along with volunteers, scoured the area surrounding 22nd Street NW and the nearby Riverwood Drive, hoping for any sign of the missing girl. It wasn't until 4 days later, on August 25th, that the search would take a darker turn. Elena's body was discovered in a remote wooded area near US Highway 169, roughly 15 miles from Elk River. The investigation soon led to a disturbing revelation. A man named Alexander Weiss, a 29-year-old with a criminal record, was arrested after being linked to Elena's death. He had been seen near the area the night she disappeared, and later evidence confirmed his involvement. Elena had been abducted, held captive, and ultimately murdered. The case remains one of the most tragic in Elk River's history, and to this day many locals claim to hear strange, eerie noises near the spot where Elena's body was found, as if her restless spirit is still searching for justice. Story 2. The murder of Teresa Fusco. In the early hours of November 10, 1989, in Elmwood Park, New Jersey, a heinous crime shocked the tight-knit community. Teresa Fusco, a 45-year-old mother of two, was found brutally murdered in her home on YMCA 24th Avenue. Teresa had been a beloved member of the community, known for her kindness and generosity, so when her death was reported, it sent a wave of fear through the entire neighborhood. At around 1:30 a.m., a neighbor walking his dog noticed something strange. Teresa's front door was ajar. This was unusual, as she was a cautious woman who always locked her doors at night. Concerned, the neighbor knocked, but when there was no answer, he called the police. When officers arrived at the home, they were greeted with a horrifying sight: Teresa's lifeless body lying in a pool of blood in the living room. It was clear she had been violently attacked. For months, the case remained unsolved, and the people of Elmwood Park were on edge. The police interviewed several people who were close to Teresa, but all leads seemed to go cold. However, in 1990, a breakthrough came when a local handyman named Joseph M. DeMarco, who had been working on a renovation project for Teresa in the weeks leading up to her murder, was arrested. DeMarco had been seen leaving Teresa's house on the night of her death, and forensic evidence eventually linked him to the crime. DeMarco had been hired to fix a broken window at Teresa's home, but it was later discovered that he had been stealing from her for weeks. On that fateful night, when Teresa discovered his theft, an argument ensued which escalated into violence. DeMarco killed Teresa in a fit of rage and then staged the scene to look like a burglary gone wrong. To this day, people living on 24th Avenue claim they feel a strange chill whenever they pass Teresa's former home, and some have reported hearing soft cries coming from inside the house late at night. Locals say it's as though Teresa's spirit is still trying to make sense of the betrayal that led to her tragic death. Story 3. The murder of Jennifer Lehman. On the evening of July 12, 2007, in the small town of Spokane, Washington, tragedy struck. Jennifer Lehman, a 25-year-old woman, was found brutally murdered inside her apartment at 4000 North Monroe Street. Jennifer was a graduate student at Gonzaga University Known for her bright future and kind-hearted nature, no one could understand why anyone would want to harm her. Jennifer had been last seen around 7:30 p.m. when she left a local coffee shop on North Division Street, only a few blocks from her apartment. She had been in good spirits, talking about the project she was working. When her roommate arrived home, Jennifer was nowhere to be found. The front door of their apartment was unlocked and the lights were dim. It didn't take long for the roommate to find Jennifer lying lifeless in her bedroom. The police investigation initially led nowhere. Jennifer's friends and family couldn't fathom who would do such a thing to her, and the case seemed to hit a dead end. But months later, a disturbing clue surfaced. Jennifer's ex-boyfriend, Daniel Holmes, had been under suspicion for some time. Daniel, who had a history of violence and was known to have an obsessive behavior towards Jennifer, had been seen near her apartment the night of the murder. After a lengthy investigation, including forensic evidence and witness testimonies, it was revealed that Daniel had broken into Jennifer's apartment. He had been stalking her for months, unable to accept their breakup. That night, he confronted Jennifer, and in a fit of rage, he murdered her. Her body was found with multiple stab wounds, and her apartment was ransacked to make it look like a robbery gone wrong. Daniel Holmes was arrested and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. However, those who live in the area near 4000 North Monroe Street still report hearing faint cries and whispers in the dead of night. Some locals believe Jennifer's spirit haunts the apartment, seeking justice for her untimely death. Story 4. The tragic death of the Mowry family. In the early morning hours of April 18, 2002, a quiet neighborhood in Livonia, Michigan, was rocked by a shocking crime. The Mowry family, consisting of Timothy Mowry, his wife Susan, and their 2 young children, was found brutally murdered inside their home on Madison Street, just off 6 Mile Road. At around 5 a.m., a neighbor noticed the front door of the Mowry residence was wide open. This was unusual, as the family was known for keeping their doors locked at all times. Alarmed, the neighbor called the police, and by the time officers arrived, they discovered the horrific scene. Timothy and Susan were both found in their bedroom, shot multiple times, and the children were found in their beds, suffocated. For weeks, the police had no leads, and the case began to grow cold. The residents of Livonia were in shock, as this was the first time such a brutal crime had happened in the area in years. Everyone had assumed that the Mowrys were a typical suburban family with no enemies or threats. That was until the discovery of security footage from a nearby gas station on Farmington Road just a few miles away. The footage revealed a man, Jason Cole, seen buying gas at 3:30 a.m. the morning of the murders. Jason was a former employee of Timothy Mowry, who had been fired several months earlier for stealing from the company. After being questioned by the police, it was revealed that Jason had been angry about losing his job and had been harboring a deep resentment towards the Mowry family. The investigation uncovered that Jason had carefully planned the murders, knowing the Mowry family's schedule. He broke into their home in the early morning hours and executed the family in cold blood. His motive was revenge for being fired. He had thought that by killing the family, he would be able to escape his past and start anew, but the brutal nature of the crime only led to his swift capture. Jason Cole was arrested and sentenced to death. Though he was eventually moved to life in prison after Michigan abolished the death penalty, the residents of Livonia still report strange happenings near Madison Street. People claim they hear unsettling noises in the early hours of the morning, muffled voices and footsteps echoing through the empty streets, believing these sounds are the restless spirits of the Mowry family, still trapped in their tragic fate. Well, folks, those were today's disturbing stories. I hope they've stirred your emotions and made you reflect on the dark mysteries that surround us. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next chilling tales. And of course, if you have the courage, we'll see you in the next video here on Echoes of Fear. Stay alert and sweet dreams, if you can sleep.